Hey, Halloween. Did you know Halloween in itself is an Eve? It's Halloween Eve today, but it's a bit of a redundant thing because I think the origin of Halloween is a Eve of Hollow. There's like an old story. My dad knows it better than I do, but we used to learn it in school. I remember learning it in his class. That's why it came to mind. But anyway, welcome. I figured since I'm probably not going to have time to do this tomorrow on Halloween, might as well hang out with y'all today. Make sure the tweet goes out. We can swap stories with what's going on. What's up, Brig Gaming? How goes it? What's going on with Halloween? I don't have many plans, sadly. This is about it. I'm going to hang out with you guys for a little while, and then I'm going to stay at home. But yeah, just let the Twitter universe know about it. There we go. Tweet is sent. I'm just going to close that. And it's working. Good. Ben, welcome. I don't remember the last time you weren't live and I wasn't either sleeping or working. Oh, I'm sorry you couldn't make the last few streams, Ben. Thanks for joining. I'm glad you're still a mod, too. That's easy to remember. How are you doing today? I'm doing well. Things are going pretty good, I must say. I actually feel really good about myself in a very selfish but bizarre way. Like, Apple One launched. They initially were only going to talk about that on the earnings call. And that's all I really heard. I was like, oh, okay. They said Apple One was going to come out. It came out. So it came out, and originally I didn't want to make a video about it, but it turns out that I decided to because, for one, I got to start working on. I was going to talk about more Apple Silicon Mac leaks today, but then I realized that my honeymoon trip is coming up and I'm going to take some time away from work, and I want to make sure that there are videos to come out while I'm away. So I actually decided to start saving a few video ideas that I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that today. It would be better for me to make a video that's time sensitive. Like, pretty much I could only get away with doing an Apple One video today because it just dropped. I probably wouldn't get away with doing it later. So it's like, it's a news video, but I was really happy to talk about it because I realized, you know what? It relates to Apple, but honestly, I want to do a video telling people to be careful about subscriptions and memberships, which honestly might fit better on this channel because we talk about finance tips and that kind of thing here. But I was like, you know what? Probably way less people would see it on Talks, and I need to pocket some more tech videos to be pre-made so that they can come out while I'm on my trip. And I was like, no, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's have a finance advice video that we can publish on tech because it directly correlates to Apple. So it was a little bit different, and at first I was a little scared about doing it, but I was really, really happy to see a lot of people say Apple's not happy about this. But I saw a lot of people in the comments and on Twitter and in Discord even say, I'm not really sold on Apple One because once Drew started bringing up how much this membership costs per year, I don't want to pay that for it, so I'm not getting it. And I'm like, I am saving people money right now. I mean, ultimately, it's up to them. And if we're taking credit for that, I probably should take credit for all the people who have bought AirPods and iPads and iPhones because if they watched my video. So, yes, I have probably contributed to a lot of people wasting money. But today I felt like I was contributing to people saving money at least a little bit. So, anyway, that's why I feel good today. I felt very satisfied. I was like, hey, that person probably would have spent more money on Apple if it weren't for that video. Let's see. I'm on my best friend's Apple ID family sharing thing, so I'm going to ask him to get Apple One. Yeah, that's a consideration I didn't think about. If someone else is paying for all your stuff, then I guess it's no big deal, right? Random news. Jonathan Morrison seems to have switched back to 16:9 videos for now. I don't know why, but I'm thrilled because I hate black bars on the top and bottom. Yes, Josh LaRose. I noticed that too because I watched a few of his MagSafe things and I was like, interesting. He switched to 18:9, which is basically just a longer way of saying 2:1 because tech YouTubers especially, were hopping on this trend of, well, smartphones are getting taller now, so you got to film in the wider aspect ratio. That makes it look more cinematic. It really doesn't. And also, there's a billion different aspect ratios to adapt for. So if you try to chase off the aspect ratio and smartphones are doing, then you're never going to get it aligned quite right. You're going to have cutouts on the S10, and you're going to have not cutouts on the OnePlus, and you're going to have little slightly curved corners on the iPhone, which always bothered me. Yeah, 21:9 is a longer way of saying 7:3. That's true. I wish we could just do the math and go down a little bit. I don't think you can dumb down 16:9. That's about as low as the numbers can get. But I guess you could go into decimals, but people don't want to do that. Rough Rider Show, thank you for the super chat. You need to stream SpaceX launches. I know. People, I think it was you. Someone has been asking me to do that a lot. And I really, honestly do not think it would be very interesting. I enjoy watching the SpaceX launches, but here's the thing. I follow a few space channels. I follow What About It. I follow Marcus House is his name, I think, and SpaceX Centric. And occasionally I watch Everyday Astronaut, but personally I just have a little bit of a hard time following him sometimes. But more of like the daily upload stuff. What About It is probably my favorite one out of all of them. And SpaceX Centric is also really good. I like his channel a lot. And he tries to do a live stream every single SpaceX launch, and a lot of the time they get scrubbed, and a lot of the time they happen late at night or early in the morning, and he looks miserable when that happens. And honestly, I don't envy him for that reason. I really would not like having to get up super early in the morning at like midnight or 3 a.m. because there's a SpaceX launch. And then you live stream and you get everyone ready. And you're like, hey, guys, we're ready to react to the SpaceX stream. And then they scrub it and you did it all for nothing. I don't know. I could probably benefit from it a little bit financially, but the amount of inconvenience it would take. I already feel like I'm giving a lot of time towards work. If anything, I'm trying to scale back how much time I spend at work a little bit, not increase the amount of time. So I don't have TikTok, no. I never got on the TikTok trend. I guess I enjoy, similar to Vine, I enjoy seeing the best of TikTok and YouTube compilations, but I don't download the app and just browse it like that. I just never found it that interesting. But YouTube will compile the best or most hilarious TikToks for me, so I can just watch it on YouTube. I mean, I was on iJustine's sister's live stream on YouTube the other day, and I literally donated $15, and she didn't even read my message. Wow, Jenna. Wow. Yeah, that's difficult, Stefan. Sorry to hear that, but I honestly, I can't blame them because I don't know how many people were watching that stream. I wasn't there, but with certain YouTubers and certain live streams, it's literally impossible. I mean, you even have like members only live streams, and there are so many super chats coming in constantly. It would be nonsense. It would be hysterical to see everyone try to read every super chat, and yeah, like they can't keep up. There's way too many people donating. So, and I think you have to agree to that when you sign up to do super chats on YouTube. They tell you like you agree that whatever the creator promises for a super chat, if they don't fulfill that promise, you cannot take legal action. That's like in the terms of conditions. So basically you can get social repercussions if I did something like say, hey guys, if you this is a hypothetical, okay? I'm not actually going to do this. This is just an example, but if I were to say, I'm not saying it, if I were to say, if someone super chats $10, I'll donate, you know what, just for the sake of someone misunderstanding me. If someone donates $500 in super chat, see, no one will do it now. If someone donates $500 in super chat, I will dump a bucket of water on my head. Okay, and if someone were to donate $500 and then I chose, you know what, actually I'm not going to donate $500 in super chat, you can't take legal action against me for that because it's in the TOS when you agree to super chat. So yeah, you can dislike the video, you can unsubscribe, and you can call me out on Twitter and say I'm a jerk, how dare I do such a thing, but legally I would be protected there. So that's kind of the not double-edged sword, but that's kind of the sword. That's the edge sword of the super chat rules. So yeah, don't do that. Super chats are not promising of anything. Let's see. No plans on getting an OnlyFans. Sorry. Sorry to disappoint. I was actually at a party once. I'm trying to remember whose it was. I was at a party a few months ago, and we were playing those like Jackbox games, and people needed to write little messages. What's it called? I forget the name of the Jackbox games, but someone wrote Talos of Tech OnlyFans. That made me laugh a lot. Oh man, did I listen to the earnings call? I started it, but Apple earnings calls are really not that interesting. They're different from Tesla earning calls, which Tesla is such a newer company and they're growing so fast that when Tesla does an earnings call, there's usually some interesting information that you can derive from it. Whereas Apple, there's not really much you can get out of just listening to the earnings call other than we made so much money. Oh my God, we made billions. We made so much money. And I listened to it for a while and then I started realizing, like, I know all this stuff. They're not telling me anything I don't know. The only part of like insightful information can be summed up in a headline, which is like, Apple One is coming out tomorrow. I was like, okay, cool, got it. You know, I didn't need to listen. I didn't listen to the entire earnings call. I started it for a second, but it was near the end of my day, and I was about done with work. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. I don't need to hear anymore. Yeah, it would just be pictures of iPhones and extra B-roll. That's a good idea. We should try that. Let's see. Watched your latest video, and I evaluated and canceled a few subscription services, which I wasn't actually using. Good. Rosa, I'm proud of you. Or Ionel, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'm glad to hear that because I think that it's a growing problem, and a lot of companies definitely benefit from people subscribing to stuff and then forgetting about it. So please pay attention to where your money's going. I hope that the tech video can encourage people to think about that a little bit more. Taking a social media marketing class at my high school, and I made a meme out of Justine. It's pretty easy to make a meme, though. You got to admit. Memes, half the time, are accidents anyway. But that's funny. It's interesting that they have a social media marketing class at your high school. They had nothing like that when I was in high school. I hope that if your high school is going to have classes like that, they should also have classes for finance and, you know, figuring out how to avoid debt and when it's okay to have debt and how to pay off a loan and how to buy a car and you know, how to pay taxes. You know, those are important classes too that were not a thing when I was in high school, but I've heard that certain schools have them. But I would argue that that should be required, not necessarily that it would be extremely effective, but I do think it's much more important than pre-cal and algebra 2. You know, there's certain careers that would appreciate those types of math classes, but I don't think everybody should be required to take them, which when I was in school, they were. However, the finance classes, I think, would be very, very crucial and helpful. Let's see. I'm going to be upgrading to the 12 mini from the 10R OLED in that more comfortable design. Hopefully it's not too small. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. I'm excited, though. I want to try the mini. As soon as I saw that leaked photo of it, I was like, oh, man. It's so tiny. It's so cute. It's so little. Which camera am I currently using? So for my live streams, like right now, I'm using the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, the 4K version. And then for my tech and EV videos, that's what I use, which is the Blackmagic Ursa Mini, which is spelled URSA. Ursa Mini, I don't know if it's called Mini Pro. I think it's just the Ursa Mini, but it is not mini. It is huge. And it's a great camera. I've had it for almost 3 years now. I bought it not long after I got the iMac Pro, and I like it. Runs great. 4K at 60 support, and the UI is fairly simple and easy to understand. And if you were looking to buy a camera now, I wouldn't recommend that one because something like what I'm using right here, the Pocket Cinema, can basically do everything that camera can, but for a lot cheaper. So yeah, you don't need to buy. Back when I was in the market for that thing, they didn't make a 4K version of the Pocket Cinema camera. They only had a 1080p version. And I was like, no, I don't want to do 1080p. Come on. Give me something better than that. Let's see. When are we going to see Apple boxes on the ceiling? How do you know they're not there? Why don't I work at the Apple store? Because that sounds terrible. I don't want to work at an Apple store. Being a YouTuber, you get to talk about whatever you want, and you get to talk about future Apple products and stuff that hasn't come out yet, or what you think should come out, or your opinions on things. Working at an Apple store, you wouldn't be able to do that. You would just have to help people who don't understand Apple products, how Apple products work. People that are confused and people that don't know what they're doing. You just have to explain to them what's already out. You wouldn't be able to do what I do. And I'd have to abide by someone else's schedule. I'd have a boss, and they would have to tell me how to act a certain way and when to show up. Whereas now I'm my own boss. I can work however much I want. I probably make, I don't mean to flex a little on you, but I probably make more than most Apple Store employees. Just a random guess. I could be wrong, but that's just an assumption. Did I finish college? No, I didn't. And neither did my wife, actually. We both dropped out after barely a year. And mainly because I wanted to go work. It wasn't just because YouTube was taking off, although that did account for it. I was like, I want to pursue YouTube. I want to do more YouTube stuff. But at the same time, I was working at a Mandarin Ranch full time. So that was, I wasn't just, I wouldn't recommend someone just dropping their job or dropping college so that they can just do YouTube and it's not really profitable right now. Like they couldn't live off of it and they're just going to not have an income for a while. Like I had an income. I didn't quit my job until YouTube could match the income of my current job at that time. So yeah, that's why I worked at the Mandarin Ranch for a year, and by that point, YouTube had kind of taken off to a more profitable extent so that I could stop working at the Mandarin Ranch. I don't think it's your fault, but I think people thought you were saying it doesn't benefit me, so it sucks in your new vid when you were just cautioning new viewers. Yeah, I saw a few people taking it that way. I think it's easy to get confused, especially in the comment section, because especially in the first few minutes that a video goes live, people are not watching or actively listening to what you're saying, and yet they're commenting, which is a very common problem. It's why I kind of wish that YouTube could let you force people to not comment on the video until they finish it. Like they have to go through the entire video before they can make a comment on it. A lot of people probably would hate that, but as a creator, I would appreciate it because there's a lot of times people will comment something that gets answered or addressed in the video, but because they're down in the comments reading what people are saying or they're writing their own things, they're not paying attention to what I'm actually saying. So yeah, if you watch the video, my point was not no one should get Apple One. It's that be careful because this is how subscription services get comfortable in your bank account, and people in general have a very, very hard time downgrading subscriptions. Mentally, it's a much harder thing to do than just to not buy something. It's fairly simple for someone to look at the new iPhone, say that's too expensive, I don't want it. But it's very simple for someone to say, hey, that subscription is pretty cheap. It's only $15, it's only $20, it's only $30. I can afford that. And then it becomes incredibly difficult for someone to get used to having that subscription and then decide they don't need it anymore, so they're going to downgrade. Because I know from experience, like not just subscriptions, but any lifestyle choice in general, if you buy a certain type of car, or if you rent out a certain type of apartment, or if you buy a certain type of house that's really big and kind of out of your budget and you get a 30-year mortgage on it and you're barely able to cover it, you have a much, much harder time downgrading and admitting to yourself, I'm in over my head, I'm spending too much, so I should stop paying for this and settle for something less. That's a very hard thing for a lot of people to come to terms with. Well, I've had Apple Arcade all these years. I don't want to cancel it. Or I've had iCloud 2 terabytes all these years. Why would I cancel it? Because I'm not doing anything wrong. It's not like my income's changed. I've obviously been paying for it for a year, and I've been fine throughout the year, so why would I cancel it? So this is the dangerous cycle people get into. And I was hoping that was the takeaway people could have. But a lot of people just oversimplified it into, Drew thinks I shouldn't get Apple One, but I like Apple One, so Drew's wrong. Sometimes it's just, that'll happen. Any video, that'll happen. Let's see. I still can't fathom that you are the same age as me. You own and have a paid-off house in NZ. Is that New Zealand? It's basically impossible for someone my age to think about buying a house. I'm sorry, Ben. I don't know the real estate situation there, but I hope you can get there. It's nice. Would be very interesting if Apple bundled Apple One in the upgrade program, maybe like 10% off the cost of buying both individually. I agree. That was kind of my pitch for Apple Card Plus, which I would almost have interest in, but not anymore because I'm starting to wonder if I shouldn't even buy the new iPhone every year, to be honest with you. The New Zealand housing market is awful interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. The only game on arcade that I played was Mini Motorways. Admittedly, I do miss it, but isn't worth $8 a month. Yeah. Well, arcade is $5 a month, but still, it's the principle of it for me. But I will admit, compared to most consumers on the internet, I am much more financially aware of things. Like most people probably wouldn't pay attention to coupons and discounts as much as me and my wife do. And, someone like me could probably very easily, oh, it's $8 in New Zealand. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's definitely not worth it. Someone like me could very easily continue to pay $2 a month for Google Drive storage to be 200 gigs. And I was doing that for a few years. But just because me and my wife are keeping track of every single membership, every single expense, there's not a single penny that goes unaccounted for in our monthly budget. I decided, you know what? I'm going to rearrange some things and I'm going to try to change my cloud storage around so that I don't have to keep paying that $2 a month. Even though it's nothing huge, to save $24 a year, is that going to mean I can retire sooner? Probably not that much. I mean, it might get me a month, not even a month, probably a day or two closer. It's not that big a deal. However, it's the principle of I'm paying extra for that makes me go, no, I'm going to try to find my way around it. So my point is, even if Apple Arcade was $1 a month, I wouldn't pay for it because to me, it's not so much the cost, it's the idea of paying money regularly that there's no fixed price on those arcade games, right? Like I liked Mini Motorways too. I thought that was a fun game. There's a few other games, Oceanhorn 2 or whatever. There's a few other games on arcade I enjoyed, but the idea that you cannot buy them and keep them, the idea that the longer you play the game, the more expensive it gets. It's really infinite. If you decide to play that game for 10 years, $5 a month, either 50 or $60 a year, depending on if you do annually or subscription wise, you've now spent $600 on Mini Motorways. Like if you really choose to pay for it for a decade, that's what I couldn't get behind. Even if it was $1 a month, even if it was an extremely low price, I wouldn't do it. Let's see. You get 200 gigs iCloud for free. That's good. You buying into the new MagSafe charger cases? Am I buying into the new? Are there new MagSafe charger cases that I didn't see? Did they announce that or something? I didn't see any, but I assume they're in the works. I mean, there's been battery cases for the last 3 iPhone releases. They've done battery cases pretty regularly. So I'd be surprised if they didn't do it this year, especially with the 12 mini. I haven't seen them released yet, but I imagine they would support MagSafe. When they do, that would be a good 12 mini accessory, I think. Thank you, Vince. Appreciate it. Vince P., thanks for watching. Yeah, I guess if they allowed you to buy arcade games, then the service might not do so well because people would just pay once for Mini Motorways and be done. Mike Empire says, you're an inspiration. Aw, thank you, Mike. You say Age of Empires 2 is in your name. I was a big fan of that, actually. I wasn't much of a gamer ever in my life, but that was one of the few games I played a lot growing up, was Age of Empires 2. And actually, right when I was getting into Age of Empires, the third one was coming out. So I got probably not as popular as the second one, but I was a real big fan of Age of Empires 3. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I don't know when Big Sur is coming out. They're probably saving it for the November event, I'm guessing. There's supposed to be another Apple event next month for the Mac, and they'd likely drop Big Sur right when the event happens, I'm guessing. Ever pick up Zoo Tycoon or Sims? I don't think I did much Zoo Tycoon. I think I remember going over to some friend's house and playing Zoo Tycoon once, but most of what I played was Roller Coaster Tycoon. My buddy Ross, who actually just wrote me, he's in the Air Force, I don't know. I probably shouldn't say where he is. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I might be fine to say it, but I probably shouldn't go around telling everyone. But he's in the Air Force. He's not near me. He's a different part of the world right now. and he's writing me letters by hand. I mean, we can still text each other, but he just enjoys the novelty of writing down notes and letters by hand and filling me up to date with what's going on in his world. And so me and my wife are writing him back. Me and my wife kind of met each other because of Ross, which we were just recently talking about, because Ross joined the College Connections program in high school. And my family, my older sisters didn't do College Connections, but because Ross was probably my closest friend, he was doing College Connections. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. It sounds like fun. It sounds like means less school in general, so I'll do College Connections. And that's where I met Louise. So I have Ross to thank for that. And Louise actually met Ross right before me at the general meet and greet that Louise and I initially met at. She only came up to me and started talking to me because the meet and greet was almost over and I was just hanging out with Ross. And she had met Ross earlier, but didn't get to meet me. So she saw Ross talking to me and was like, hey, I'll talk to this guy. He looks like Ron Weasley. And that's how we got where we are today. So, yeah, Ross is sending us letters. He sent me a couple, and now we're sending a couple over to him. So if you're watching this, Ross, you've got some mail on the way. Stay tuned. And yes, my wife cuts my hair, in case you were curious. But thank you. Yeah, me and Ross would play Age of Empires a lot and Roller Coaster Tycoon. We were kind of dark. We would always love setting up the roller coasters. I think they got rid of this in one of the later games, but in the earlier versions of Roller Coaster Tycoon, you could build a roller coaster and people would get on it, and then you could delete part of the roller coaster and people would just fly off. It's just a video game, but it was kind of hilarious. Everybody would get on the roller coaster and then crash and burn. I know it's dark. It's probably not that funny in hindsight, but in the moment it was pretty hilarious. I mean, it's a game. Come on. You wrote letters to your friend in the Navy. That's cool. Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. Let's see. Just got AirPods the other day and they seem super buggy. Is this normal? For me, they haven't been, but don't ask me. Ask Apple support. You're not going to get much help in the YouTube chat. Stefan says, you and Louise would be disappointed in my recent spending habits. I just bought a king-size bed and that I didn't need, and the iPad Air. Well, there's nothing wrong with that as long as financially you can afford it. You're not in, I don't know, as long as you're not in massive debt or putting it on the credit card because you can't afford it. That's what I would advise against. But if you've got the money for it and you want it, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I don't need the 12 Pro Max or the 12 Mini, but I can afford it, so I'm going to get it. That's fine. We wouldn't be disappointed if you can comfortably get it. By the way, you don't need a YouTuber's approval for anything, by the way. You can buy whatever you want. Don't worry about what old Drew on Tailosive thinks, because there's a very heavy chance I will never meet you in person in my life. So it doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to, doesn't matter. Do what you want. I'm in favor of that. I'm not in favor of all of you doing exactly what I say. That's dumb. Don't do that. Michael says, I know you stopped streaming on gaming because of lack of time, but do you see that channel ever getting active streams again, or even once in a while stream? There could be a once in a while stream, not one that I can envision right now. I don't know. I really don't know what to do with gaming, to be honest with you. I've tried doing it for years, and what I realize about it is people forget, Tailosive Gaming was started at the same time as Tailosive Tech. It wasn't like Tech was the beginning of Tailosive, and then I just started doing all this other stuff. I started doing comedy skits and action movies first on the original Tailosive channel, and then did that for 3 or 4 years, and I realized, okay, I've been making movies weekly for 3-4 years now, and no one cares. Still, no one is watching them. Literally, in those days, it was pretty depressing. I would publish a video that I would work all week on, write out the script, and I'd edit it, and I'd film it, and I'd try to get all these people together, get my friends together. Guys, come on, we got to make this movie. And I would publish it, and then 0 views. No one clicked for days at a time. Literally, many, many days would go by, and that video would stay at 0 views. Not 8, not 9 views. I mean 0. Literally, no one was clicking on it. And that was when the channel had probably less than 100 subscribers. And that was a bit depressing. It's very, very different now. And so, yeah, obviously 2014 was when I started the idea of the network. I'm going to start doing a bunch more channels: tech, gaming, movie reviews, music, food. You know, all that came around in around 2014. I actually think food came out around a few years later, but most of the network, the idea of having multiple channels, started in 2014. And I did gaming streams way back then. I did edited videos back then. I tried to do just like update gaming videos. I tried to do, just gaming news or reviewing gaming hardware and that kind of thing. And here we are all these years later, and we've seen the tremendous growth of tech, and we've seen all the growth in EV. And still, whenever I do a gaming stream, about the same amount of people watch it as 5 years ago. So, those 8 people really enjoy it, but it's not a lot. And I mainly want to focus on, there's certain things I want to do just for me, but I also want to make sure that the content I'm making is enjoyed and appreciated. And I don't want to make a bunch of stuff that no one cares about and no one wants to watch. It's kind of half the battle. Is I want to make content for the world to enjoy. I don't want to just make content for me. And it'd be one thing if I just really genuinely enjoyed playing video games and streaming it, but I don't feel the same calling to that as I do with other stuff. Like if you guys were to ask me, Drew, let's say no matter what YouTube video you uploaded, doesn't matter if it's a tech video or a gaming video or a movie review, no matter what you uploaded, you were going to get paid the same every month. Like I'm a salaried YouTuber now. This would never happen. This is hypothetical. But if you guys were just like, your paycheck is set, doesn't matter how much of a certain channel you work on or how many videos you upload or what type of videos, you're going to get paid the same amount. What would you spend most of your time working on? I have much more of a calling and much more of a passion for the comedy skits in the main channel, because that's where Tailosive all started originally, and I just have a fun time with my friends writing out skits and acting them out and editing them together and trying to get the comedic timing of certain jokes and trying to get them to land. If I had all the time in the world, that's probably where I would spend a lot more YouTube. I wouldn't just dedicate everything towards gaming, just because I don't, I haven't played very many video games lately, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on much. I feel like I'm making content that people enjoy and people appreciate, and that hasn't involved a lot of gaming, and I'm kind of okay with that. So I started gaming because I figured that had the best chance of succeeding in the network, because that's what most of YouTube was. But obviously it didn't take off the way tech did. And I have I have a certain amount of time I can work every day. I have a schedule I'm keeping to, and I don't really feel like exceeding that schedule. There's been certain days, especially, when was it, last week? I think last week, iPhone 12 Pro delivery day. Was that last Friday? Was that a week ago? Has it been a week already? Yeah, it's Friday today, I guess, huh? Yeah, it was the 23rd. 12 Pro delivery day was just an incredibly long day. And I love my job. I love what I'm doing, but I don't feel very fulfilled if I wake up when it's dark and start working and then don't stop working until it's dark again, and then I have to just go to bed. That doesn't feel like a fulfilling day. I like making videos and I love interacting with you guys and I like working, but it's always good to take a break, and I always want to spend more time with my wife if possible. So the schedule I'm sticking to right now, 5 days a week, basically 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., I'm happy with that work schedule. I'm going to wrap up here in another 30 minutes, and then I can go hang out with my wife and we can spend time together. And if I were, and right now with those hours I'm working, I'm pretty maxed out with how much I can create. It's typically tech, EV, and one other thing. So tech and EV in a vlog, or tech and EV in a YouTube stream, or tech and EV in a movie review, or tech and EV in a Twitch stream. I have enough time in the day for that. And I'm a pretty fast editor. I'm pretty fast at getting videos done and filming them and getting them up. I can't really see that many places where I'm wasting too much time that I could make more time for doing gaming streams and that kind of thing. But ultimately, the gaming YouTube and Twitch world is a very hard one to break into because it's very saturated. Lots of people are doing it. And that makes, it's kind of like Tailosive Tech what made that do well probably is the fact that it was unique. It was like openly biased. I'm an Apple sheep. I'm biased towards Apple. Here are my thoughts. And it had something unique, and it had some more personality and soul to it than your generic tech channel. And that's probably why it did well. And it's likely the reason I'm able to put some soul and some character into that channel is because I do have a lot of opinions about tech. And yes, a lot of my opinions go against the norm, go against the standard. Whereas when it comes to gaming, I don't really have that. I don't really have something unique or special to that market that can separate me from others. My personality just kind of blends in with the crowd when it comes to gaming stuff. So I just fully admit it's probably not my thing. I've tried to do it for years and I haven't really seen much success. Maybe I could be better at it if I just committed to it and just did 8-hour gaming streams every day, but I don't want to do that because I like what I'm doing now. So anyway, that's enough of that topic. Sorry, Darsh. Would I ever get a buzz cut? Maybe I would. In more recent history, I don't have psoriasis issues that much because I've switched to this new medication that seems to be working. But before I switched to this medication, I have a lot of red spots on my face, which you guys could see in older videos. And that red patchiness was very present on the back of my head. It was very, very obvious. And you guys didn't see that very much because of my hair and also because it's the back of my head. But if I had a buzz cut and I was bald, those red patches would have been way, way more obvious, and it probably wouldn't look very good. Now, it might not be so bad because of the medication I'm on, but I like my hair. If I can keep my hair looking like this, I will. But if you're asking, like, if I start balding in the next 10 years, would I just shave the whole thing off? Yeah, probably. But might not be up to me because my wife cuts my hair. So if she doesn't want to do a buzz cut, then I'm not gonna force it. Texer Tech, thank you for the super chat. Have you tried the Pixel 5 yet? Just did a review on it. Was pleasantly surprised and very curious of your thoughts after a hands-on. Yeah, sorry to break it to you. I appreciate the donation, but I'm kind of taking a break with Android phones. I've reviewed a lot of them this year. I've recommended some, and I've not recommended others, and I've ranted on some, and I've praised others, and I've discovered that my audience doesn't care that much about what I think on Android phones. Maybe in years prior they cared more, but too many times I would upload an Android phone review, and in the first place, it doesn't really perform that well. It doesn't get a ton of views, and that's not everything, but that's part of it. The second thing is I usually get a bunch of flack for it. People be like, hey, who cares what you think? You're an Apple sheep. Or you're wrong on this, and you should just buy this. Or what do you know? You don't use Android. So I just kept getting a bunch of flack for it. I was like, okay, well, why am I doing this? So the Pixel 5, I gave my thoughts on it when it came out. I gave my opinions on it. I don't think the in-person, hands-on impressions of the Pixel 5 would change anything. A lot of people kept telling me that over the years, and it never really did much. Same thing happened with the Z Flip or the Galaxy Z Fold. Is they're like, well, you got to try it and then tell me what you think of it. And then I try it and I'm like, yeah, okay, pretty much think the same as what I thought before. Doesn't change that much. Nothing about the Pixel 5 seems amazing to me. And I still don't think people should buy it. But obviously, if you like it, anyone's welcome. If you want it, get it. That's fine. But I don't. I think it's too expensive. Wait for it to come down at least. $700 is too high. If it was more like 600, that could be justifiable. But yeah, I don't know. Nathan says, is TV Plus still flickering for you? I tried it today and it's frequent for me. Yeah, it's not consistent, but I think we were watching something the other day. What was it? Oh, we watched that movie with Bill Murray and Rashida Jones on TV Plus. Suck. On the Rocks. It was terrible. I was so dumb. I'm debating making a movie review video on it. It was awful. I hated it. It was somewhat interesting up until the end because I thought there was going to be, a grand reveal. It's kind of a mystery because Rashida Jones is noticing this very bizarre behavior from her husband, which I think was not okay. The way he was acting with his secretary and the way he was treating her. It all felt fishy. Something was totally wrong with that relationship. And I was I was rooting for him. I mean, Bill Murray kind of plays himself in it, which That's pretty much all. That's pretty much all Bill Murray can do these days is play himself in movies. He's like, "Hi, I'm classy but dry humor, old retired comedian." Like that's the same character in every movie he's in these days, and he just kind of has that depressed look. But they're investigating. Him and Rashida Jones are investigating what's going on with your husband. He's behaving weird. So I'm gonna spoil it for you. You can turn off the stream if you don't want it to be spoiled. The end of the movie is that nothing was wrong. The husband was fine. He wasn't cheating on her. Even though he was behaving terribly and doing very sketchy, suspicious activity. Like, so the moral of the story was that if your husband's being fishy and he's being distant and he's not talking to you, then don't worry about it. You're probably fine. That was like the end of the movie. It just was like, honey, I'm not cheating on you. What's the problem? And he's like, Rashida was like, I'm sorry. It's just you've been distant. And the guy was like, well, I guess I'm sorry. I'll try to be less distant. But he was still like spontaneously taking these big trips and being very shady. It's like, no, that's not a good message to send. If you're in a marriage where the husband's acting distant, or anybody, it doesn't have to just be the husband. If somebody's asking to take off random breaks and they're changing their phone passcode, and the whole movie starts out with the guy coming home to her and she's already in bed, and he kind of looks at her and goes, oh, hi. And Rashida Jones is really suspicious of that because she's like, he came home last night and acted like he didn't even know who I was, which made her think maybe he's used to coming home to somebody else. And I was like, yeah, that's not good behavior. I don't think we should just pass that off as, oh, well, just nothing's wrong. Don't worry about it. So I was annoying. I hated it. Don't watch it. Don't watch On the Rocks. It's not good. Anyway. Hard-hitting question. Juice edition. Tomato or mango? Oh, dude, mango by far. Mango's way better. I love mango. I love mango flavored things, and I love mango the fruit. Tomato is the thing everybody wants removed from their burger. Everybody's like, can you do no tomato on mine? No one likes tomato. I like tomato, but I don't love it. Like, I'll eat tomato. Tomato doesn't have much of a flavor unless it's ketchup. You know, unless you drench it in sugar and salt. Tomato, that's not hard-hitting. Come on, Mike. I've never been to the UK, Thomas. No. I would love to. Now's kind of a bad time to travel, but yeah, I think sometime next year my wife and I were hoping to travel to Europe. I guess it'll depend on COVID, but I would love to. No Bloody Marys then? I'm not much of a, not much. I don't really drink alcohol of any kind. Not for much of a, there's no spiritual reason. I don't like the taste of it. I've tried it. I've had sips of alcohol, and I don't like the taste of it. And also, I'm kind of a guy who likes quantity. You know, I would rather drink a lot of something than a little bit of something good. And alcohol, because of its effect on you, you can't really drink that much of it. So, and I don't like the taste of it either. So I would much rather taste something non-alcoholic that I can drink a lot of than something alcoholic that I can't drink very much of. So just for logical reasons, I'm not that big a fan. Alonzo, life is good. Thanks for asking. But I feel very blessed, if you couldn't tell by the last vlog on this channel. I feel incredibly lucky, and I'm having a hard time understanding why I have this job just in the universe, in our society. You know, like, why does anybody value what I'm doing this much? It doesn't feel right. It feels like I cheated. It feels like I cheated the system, and it feels like I won the lottery. Like, I'm trying to treat YouTube like a wise person winning the lottery. I should have expanded more on that in the vlog. After editing it, I was like, people probably were confused by that statement. The statement I was trying to make is that a wise person winning the lottery, not just an everyday Joe, but a wise person who wins the lottery knows you should not win the lottery and then blow all that money on some extravagant expense. You know, don't win the lottery and blow it all on fancy car, trip to Vegas, and you're going to buy this and this and this. Because before you know it, all the money's gone. A wise person winning the lottery would likely take all the money, invest it, and then draw slowly from it over time, or don't draw from it at all, just win the lottery and keep working while you're young and agile. You have the young spirit and the time on your hands, and just let that lottery money sit in a high interest investment and let it accumulate value over time so that you can retire when you're fairly young. And that's basically like, I see YouTube as winning a lottery. Like, I do feel like there was a certain amount of luck involved at the right time, getting into tech videos at the right time and saying the right things at the right time. Some things that I'm very grateful for. Like, it's weird to think decisions I made when I was a teenager are so heavily influential on my life now. You know, I started Tailosive Tech when I was 16 years old, and it was just an idea I had one day to make a tech channel. And like, imagine how life would have been if I decided that was a dumb idea, which was very plausible, because when I first made it, no one was watching anything I posted. There was like 0 views, and I could have just given up on it very early on. I could have been like, yeah, this is stupid. I don't want to do it anymore. And how many decisions in my life are like that I didn't realize, like, if I would have pursued that, I could have been way more successful. I don't know. It's an endless what if situation. But yeah, you could live off the dividends and interest from a lottery win. That's true. So that's basically how I'm looking at YouTube. I'm looking at it as I got lucky, I won the lottery, so I'm going to be really, really smart with the money I'm making and not spend any of it and just put it aside and hope it accumulates interest that I can eventually live off of. Tomardo is how I pronounce it in the UK. I think Thomas, we use the hard R in the US, which is why what you wrote I would say as mar, but you probably say it as ma, tomato. I don't want tomatoes on my burger. There's a lot of different English accents too. I can tell you right now, your realistic, straightforward take on a lot of concepts attracts people. Tech is so easily drowned in hype and energy, sometimes people lose that realism. Thank you, Tech Roar. I appreciate that. Wins the lottery, buys 5 Tesla Roadsters and 5 Tesla Semis. Now, Mike, that is a great financial decision right there. That's amazing. Yeah, it's interesting. We're more harder on our R's in the U.S. because you say things like, in the UK, you would say mother, father, mother, whereas in the U.S. we'd say mother, father. There's just a little bit more emphasis on that letter. Let's see. Stefan says, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do when I'm older and I'm really overwhelmed. I feel like being a YouTuber would be great because I could talk about tech and do reactions, but my parents are not for it. It's understandable, Stefan. I mean, I wouldn't resent your parents for that reason. I mean, speaking as a YouTuber, I will admit it's very hard to get into this field. I mean, once you're into it and consistently living off of it, it can be great and it's a dream job, but getting to the point of it being a dream job is very difficult, and I wouldn't say anyone should just completely jump off of college or jump off of work and just do YouTube full time without first establishing an income of some kind. I don't know. I know people that are trying to do that, and I advise against it. And I try to remind people that I didn't just drop out of college and start doing YouTube right away. Like, yeah, I was doing YouTube way before college and trying to build it up. You know, again, 16 years old when I first started doing tech videos. And actually it was January of 2014. So I was 15, I think. Yeah, I started doing tech videos when I was 15, and it wasn't until 2017, which is when I was 19 years old, that summer. So it took me 4 years, basically, of doing it on the side. It wasn't doing it part-time. It wasn't like, well, I'm busy with school, so I can't do any videos right now, but when school's out, I can do videos. No, it was like, I'm going to college, and as soon as I'm done with homework, sometimes before I was done with homework, I would start working on a tech video. I'm doing both. I was doing YouTube on the side and doing school, and then after college, it was still not getting enough, so I started working full-time at a Mandarin Ranch and doing YouTube on the side. And it even took a year of that. I mean, it helped to not have to go to school because, for one, there was no homework. So that time, which is our most limited resource, that time was not on me. You know, when I was done with work, I could just go home and do whatever I wanted. So it still was the best year of my life because I was like, no homework, I don't have to go to class. And when I go to work, I'm actually making money instead of spending money like we were at college. We would have to drop money on courses and tuition and textbooks and losing money and time. I would rather lose time but gain money. And then with YouTube, I could gain time and money. So that was the end goal. So I get why parents would be skeptical at first. I mean, my parents were fairly skeptical of it at first because, again, it is something fairly difficult to get consistent income with. So I would say it's very good to have multiple plans. I wouldn't say just make YouTube your plan A and don't have a plan B. Have something like, okay, I'm going to keep doing videos and I'm going to try to grow my channel, but if that doesn't work, I'll do this and I'll do this, or if I'll try something else. Don't look at YouTube as the end all be all. I have to do this. Try to, because my backup plan was the lineman's college, which we agreed to, because they were showing me off to this trade school, which is, in case you don't know what a lineman college is, it's like 2 years of training for you to work on phone lines and power lines. And it's not too expensive. It's not as expensive as a university. Again, it only takes 2 years, so it's not that much schooling. And then you make pretty good money after the fact. So that was what I was going to do if YouTube didn't work out. But yeah. Chris Otham, thank you for the super chat. I'm glad you enjoy what you do, and you better stick around for the long term. Your content is very relatable to this 23-year-old. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the donation. I can confidently say right now, if YouTube does not crash and burn and it stays the way it is right now, even if Tailosive doesn't grow, honestly, with this current lifestyle, I don't need to grow. If my current income stayed exactly the same for the next 5-10 years, I would be perfectly happy. Even if not a single person hit the subscribe button again, I'd be perfectly happy because I think I'm overpaid. I think I'm making plenty. So I'm very happy with where I am right now. My assumption, I'm trying not to live with that expectation. My assumption is that something will go wrong along the next 10 years or so, maybe 5 years. I don't know. I just think that YouTube is very fragile and copyright law is very dated, and new policies could be updated overnight, and YouTube could change something one day and just make my way of living impossible. And I'm going to expect that something will fall apart, and if it doesn't, I'll be very happy. So if YouTube doesn't change very much, I will keep this going as long as I possibly can. I could see doing this forever, honestly. There might be times in my life when I get older where I might do it less because, we're either financially independent and want to go more on trips. But even then, I would probably work more on vlogs in that case. So there's going to be videos of some kind coming out as long as possible. But yeah, it's a very bumpy, unstable platform, honestly. So I don't want to assume that it's always going to be here, which is why I'm not spending money like it's always going to be here. I'm treating every paycheck as my last. Was there another channel that you hope took off as much as the tech channel did? Asked Tony. I mean, I wanted all of them to take off. I didn't really mind. Like my mindset with the Tailosive Network was, whichever channel will take off, I will give that one my all. I could have done it with tech. I probably could have done it with gaming. If gaming would have taken off, I probably would have invested more time and money into that and be more of a dedicated streamer, or just editing gameplay or game news and that kind of thing, or movie reviews. I still, to this day, some of my favorite YouTube channels are movie review channels. So I really enjoy talking about movies and TV shows. So if that one would have taken off, I would have done that full time. So I would have been happy with any of them, really. There wasn't any channel that I made that I was like, well, hopefully this never turns into anything. But I guess there was less hope for gaming in the first place just because I wasn't much of a gamer in the first place. So I was like, well, if gaming takes off, I'm going to have to end up playing a lot more video games. Not that I would mind that. That's still a great dream job. It'd be like, you could just play video games for a living. That's awesome. But growing up, I would usually get a little bit of judgment from my parents or family members if I just told them, what do you do for a living? Oh, I just play games and stream it. I'm a content creator. I just play video games and people watch. I'm not downplaying that as a job, because I do see that as important. And as someone who has tried to make a living playing video games, I can admit it's way more difficult than it seems, and it's way harder than people think it is. But knowing what external sources and how other people who aren't content creators look at that, there would probably be a bit more judgment with it. The tech thing, there is still judgment with that. There are still people that will hear me say I'm a YouTuber and they think, oh, this guy didn't do anything with his life. Which, depending on do anything, they might have a point. But like if we go to a social gathering or if we go to a wedding or something, if people ask me that kind of thing, like catching up with old family members, if they come up to me and ask like, so Drew, what are you doing? Are you in school or what's going on in your life? And I'm like, well, I'm a full-time YouTuber. You can see it. You can see it in their eyes. They know. They have a predetermined assumption because they look at me, who's obviously not, it's just me. They look at me and they hear full-time YouTuber and they think, oh, this guy's living at home in his pajamas, making quirky little YouTube videos that no one watches in his basement, and he doesn't have a job. But because he lives with a very beautiful and successful wife, she's working and paying all the bills and supporting his lifestyle. And that's probably a little bumpy, but I'm not going to ask more about that. So they see, full-time YouTuber and they just think, oh, good for you. Because I can tell the questions stop right after. So I usually try to follow it up with, there's I get tens of thousands of people watching me every day. And I try to hype it up so they understand it's like a real job. Or, we bought our house and I try to convince people that it's a real thing, because at first glance, people will not really hear it as a legit job. And they're right to do so, because there are a lot of people that do YouTube videos that are not doing it full time. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But being a YouTuber is not a very specific title, Being a YouTuber means you could be PewDiePie, who probably makes millions of dollars a year. Or being a YouTuber could mean you get like 100 views on your channel a year. Both are YouTube positions. So I know who Dan Merle is, but I don't watch his channel. I didn't know he had his own channel, actually. I didn't know that. What's my net worth? I would like to share it with you, but I'm not entirely sure if Louise wants me sending that number out there. So I will resist right now. But yes, Stefan, I do believe I'm overpaid. Any plans for outdoor videos for the channel again? I need to go on more trips and spend more time outdoors to do more outdoor videos. But yeah, we had trips planned this year. Of course, COVID changed all that. We were going to go to Australia, and then we were going to go to Europe, I think, next year. But now that's not so sure. So there's other vacations. Oh yeah, we were going to visit my friend Ross in Las Vegas, because he was there for a while at an Air Force base. I was going to visit him there. So there's, when I go on vacation, I'll vlog it, but there's not a lot of vacations right now. So it's just kind of me at home. There's less to document. What did you like about your visit in the Philippines? I haven't been back home since 5 years. I went to go back again when things get better and see what changed. Yeah, it was fun. I mainly enjoyed seeing a different way of life. I mean, it's just a very different culture, and learning about it there, and also meeting all of Louise's family there was very interesting. And just, that was the farthest I'd ever been from home. A lot of people don't know that, but I've never traveled that far out of the U.S. And it was educational. I learned a lot. I learned about different cultures and things we take for granted in the U.S. And the food was amazing. Oh my God. Filipino food is to die for. It's so good. So we had some amazing meals there, and it's also impressive the different prices of things. Certain things will be a lot more expensive in the U.S., and other things in the Philippines are really, really cheap. It's kind of amazing. Like, certain housing you can get there for really cheap is impressive. But yeah, it's just a very educational, informative thing. Yeah, I already voted. We mailed in a few while back. But Sulaiman Ahmed, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. Thank you for the super chat. My friend, I love your channel. I've been watching you for about 2 years, and I learned so much about Apple. You deserve this. Be happy. Oh, thank you, Sulaiman. I appreciate the donation. Thank you. I'll keep it up. How does the American education system work? Asks Thomas. Very simple. It doesn't. We have primary school, secondary school, sixth form, or apprenticeship, uni, or a job. So for us, I'll walk you through how I did it. It's probably not the same for everything, but it basically goes preschool, which is basically like nursery. It's just like babysitting officially. You have preschool, kindergarten, which is your very, very first year of public school, and then first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, I was homeschooled. Sixth grade, I had my dad in public school. And then after that, that's all. Sixth grade to kindergarten is considered elementary. And then after that, we have seventh and eighth grade, which is considered middle school, at least where I live. It's a little different depending on where you are in the States. But for me, seventh and eighth grade is middle school. And then you have ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. But usually we don't call them ninth, 10th, and 11th. We call them freshman year, sophomore, junior, senior. So 4 years, and that's high school. So high school is 4 years. And then after that, you would typically either go to college or get a job or university. And I actually spent my senior year of high school going to a community college, which is a little bit different. So I didn't actually go to a high school, the same one I went through for freshman, sophomore, junior year. I went to a community college so that I could finish up my high school credits and start on college units simultaneously. And that's a program that was offered in my area called College Connections. And that's how I met Louise. Obviously, didn't end up finishing college, so it didn't really matter that I got those extra units. But yeah, kindergarten through sixth grade is elementary for me, and then seventh and eighth is middle. Yeah, I do look like that, Tillis. I've got mansion in the Philippines with Starlink internet. Sounds good to me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different things about the Philippines. I'm not entirely sure if I would want to live there permanently. But I get why some people would. You know, my Louise's family just moved there recently, and they're staying there for the long term. And they have a very nice house, I will admit. And they have there's a lot of great things about the Philippines, but I don't know. I did get a little homesick. There is a few things about the U.S. that I prefer. Tony says his net worth is between $1 and $1 billion. He is correct, I think. Yeah, that's right. Let's see. Dan left Screen Junkies at the beginning of this year and started his own channel. It's great. I love his box office analysis videos. Oh, that's interesting. I always liked Dan from Screen Junkies. I didn't know he left, though. That's cool. Good for him. Yeah, I notice a lot of people doing that, kind of going off and becoming their own channel or whatever. Good for that. Good for him. That's cool. I should check him out. Yeah, I remember Dan Murrell on all the movie fights. What does the Philippines not have that the U.S. does? It's not so much like listing things. It's more of just like roads is, I think, the biggest thing. Like, if you think people are bad drivers or that the roads are poorly laid out in the United States, at least where I went to in the Philippines, it is a mess. Like there's barely any street rules. Everyone's driving around each other. People are honking all the time. And there's very little like traffic law. Everybody's just kind of darting around each other. There's lots of people just jumping on motorcycles, and yeah, traffic is really, really disorganized there. And I don't know, the size of vehicles and the way roads are laid out. Yeah, seatbelts, as Unique can attest, seatbelts are not necessary in the Philippines. Like it was kind of a big culture shock as soon as I got there. When I got in the back of a taxi and the guy started driving us around, I was like, okay. Though I guess I don't drive that often here, but I also just have a lot of family and friends here, and I just, I'm very comfortable with the U.S. because that's where I grew up. And I'm open to visiting all kinds, and I want to learn more about different cultures, but I don't know if I would want to completely commit to a culture like that. You can pack a lot of people in a van, that's true, but it is a bit uncomfortable. Also, I don't think I could get as easy access to Apple products as I do here in the U.S. The prices would be different. Also, internet is not as established. That's why Starlink, I think, would help the Philippines a lot. But, yeah. Let's see. Well, I would love to chat more, guys, but we're reaching the end of the hour, so this is where I typically sign off. Yeah, pretty much everybody's on Android there, and it's not like Samsung and OnePlus. Everybody's using like Oppo and Huawei or something like that. But anyway, I got to get going. But thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the super chats. Thank you for allowing me to have this dream job. Can't wait to chat more. Hope you all have a safe, happy Halloween. Please keep your masks on. I don't know if many of you are going door to door, but I would be careful about that because there's a, little going around. So watch yourself. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.